Hi there, and welcome to Gaming News Weekly. I'm Gareth.
And I'm Matt.
We're back. There's been a little bit of a hiatus again. Just life, getting stuff in place. It's anyway.
It's
Let's not
life.
worry about that. Yeah.
Well, because we have a lot to cover today.
we do indeed. Yeah. So thanks for everybody that was kind of worried. No, we are back in place. We are recording.
Alive.
So. Yeah, Matt says we've got a lot to cover, and he's not wrong. It has been a busy couple of weeks. So, Matt, first and foremost, why don't you tell us what Call of Duty game you've been playing?
The only one that truly matters, which is Modern Warfare.
Okay, is that come out to a particular fanfare?
I think it's been making some news, but it's just a relatively quiet indie darling.
Indie darling. Nobody's ever called Call of Duty an indie darling before. Are you having fun in it?
I think that is an understatement. I am absolutely falling in love with it.
Perfect. And you've completed the campaign, correct?
I have 100%ed the campaign. I've thrown a whole lot of hours into the multiplayer. The only thing I haven't touched is Spec Ops yet, but you kind of have to have friends to do that, and we both know how that answer goes.
Yeah, you need a PlayStation 4 to play survival. No, that's fair enough. No, I'm not getting Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so I can't be that friend. But hey, let's join each other on Siege. Well, is that everything you've been playing?
Yeah, I touched some Gears 5 before it came out, but really since Modern Warfare came out, that's really what I've been sticking with.
Cool, okay, well I've made up for that a little bit. I have been playing Outer Worlds. I even streamed a little bit. Well, I've streamed about 2 hours of it today as well, which is quite exciting.
Proud of you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely loving Outer Worlds. I mean, if you were looking for something brand new, never seen before, you are not getting it from this game. It is, if you played Fallout New Vegas, the mood, the conversations that you're having with the people seems very similar. But if you played Fallout New Vegas, you will know that you loved every single conversation that you had with every NPC through every mission. I really enjoy it, and I'm going to complete the game. It's 100% a much better game than Fallout 76. It's kind of like the Fallout 76 we wanted, but not by Bethesda. So yeah, it's just a great game, and I'm really enjoying it. And I know some people have been jumping into it recently too, so that's really good.
And it's on Game Pass.
And it's on Game Pass. That's very true, actually. Yeah, it is free on Game Pass. It was free day one. So why you wouldn't try this game? If you like any Fallout game, try it. It's definitely worth it. As well as Outer Worlds, I've been jumping on that multiplayer thing called Rocket League, another small indie darling. Trying to go on the ranked sort of playlist a little bit, and surprising myself every third or fourth game by maybe scoring a goal or three. So I used to play the game a lot, really enjoyed it, and actually, do you know, I just quite liking the community. Sometimes there's, kids, ugh, but otherwise, a lot of the time it's a really positive environment actually, and the game is pretty good, and yeah, it's just quite fun. So sort of pushing the competitive side on that. So and I also dabbled in Forza Horizon 4 again. Just always nice to jump into Britain, travel around Britain. I don't travel Britain enough, so it's quite nice to travel around Britain on a game console. But yeah, so
in a car that you'll never be able to afford.
Well, I was racing around in a PLP 50. If you don't know what one of those is, go and have a look online. It will shock you.
Hilarious.
So that's what we've been playing. So it's I'm conscious that we've got a lot to talk about. So we're going to be mentioning two of those games again towards the end. So we won't drag that out any longer. Guys, we've dropped out to you to say, is there anything that you want discussing in this episode? Any particular topics? Got a question for us? And once again, Thomas Green has held up his end of the bargain and has come up with a topic for us to look at. Are you a Pokemon fan?
Yes. I mean, I played Pokemon all growing up back on the Game Boy Advance. I kind of really, I stopped playing it around the 3DS era. I don't think I've played it past that. The huge chunk of it was during the original Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. I still am a fan, but maybe not as hardcore of a fan as some other people.
Fair enough. I think we're sort of sitting in a similar place. Play Pokemon Let's Go, but mainstream-wise, it's going to be the sort of Advance SP era again. I never owned a 3DS. I owned the much better handheld console that's a PlayStation Vita.
Oh boy, here we go again.
It's like Game Pass. I'm never gonna let go. I'm never gonna let go. But Pokemon wasn't available on that. But Digimon Cyber Sleuth was, which I've noticed is on Switch. Anyway, don't want to sink another 80 hours into that game. Sword and Shield. There's been lots of confusion regarding Sword and Shield. Obviously, 2 games coming out with a couple of differences between the two. But the main controversy that Tom has wanted us to look at is Pokemon Sword and Shield ditching Nintendo Switch Online to allow for you to trade and battle without requiring that feature? Well, we've done a little bit of digging, and it seems like at first everybody thought, yes, they are ditching Nintendo Switch Online for another service, or potentially just allowing you to do it for free. Using Tech Radar's website, the update to that is no, it isn't ditching it. Quite literally, it's in their title. They've made that pretty easy. Effectively, what has been discussed is within Pokemon Sword and Shield, in a description it was stated that there would be in-app purchases or in-game purchases. That was queried by a lot of people thinking, well, what's that? Is that something on top of Switch Online? Is that a new service? No, effectively it is the ability to buy the Nintendo Switch Online service through the game. So it's not like you can get away with not requiring Nintendo Switch Online. They still want what I think is I think you get a decent reward back for, or payback on, getting Switch Online. I've got it on my Switch, and I play a couple of the NES games, etc. But to allow you to trade and to battle, you still require this service. Which, I mean, is it a big deal? I don't think so. I think maybe it just proves that developers and publishers need to be a bit more clear when they're putting things into their advertising, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's just choice of words. There's not a huge. It's just a misunderstanding, and that's really all it is. It utilizes the online functions for Nintendo, so I couldn't see why, if anything, they expected it to work 100% without it. Especially since Pokemon's one of Nintendo's biggest first party games. At this point, I think it's just a misunderstanding.
Now, I know with the Let's Go games, it didn't allow you to take advantage of the cloud saves that you get with Nintendo, and there was a separate purchase for that, much like the well-loved Metal Gear Survive game also asked people to pay for multiple saves, which is just ridiculous. That seems to have been done away with, thankfully. So it basically, to clear it up, you still require Nintendo Switch Online to do online features within Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, hopefully that's sort of summed that one up for you, Tom. Interesting one. I'm looking forward to it, and I think I will be picking up Pokemon Sword or Shield. Maybe you're somebody that's going to pick up 2. why don't you let us know? Are you going to pick one up, Matt, or not?
If I do, it will be at a discounted price. It is, or maybe Christmas. I'm not going to be picking up day one. It'll be a later purchase.
Let's just make something abundantly clear, Matt. Pokemon games do not depreciate. There is no reduced price. This is Nintendo we are talking about.
True. Okay. Well, they depreciate maybe by $5, and I'll wait for that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Maybe keep our eye out for Black Friday. But
yeah.
so yeah. Perfect. Okay. I think I'll pick it up. It won't be day one. I think I'll still probably be playing Outer Worlds, trying to 100% it or something ridiculous like that. So, yeah, cool. Okay, well, thanks, Tom, for that. That's some news you guys have brought to us. Now it's worthwhile having a look at what's been in the news, and there's been an awful lot. We're going to start off with our French and Canadian friends over in Canada and France, weirdly enough. Ubisoft. Don't know where I was going with that. Ubisoft. Yeah. So Ubisoft has admitted on a earnings call, which some of these guys seem to have quite regularly. EA seems to have them very regularly. Ubisoft admits Ghost Recon Breakpoint has been a disaster. Yeah, well, you didn't need to be the CEO to sort of see that, did you, really?
No, it was quite obvious from if you went onto the Reddit or any of the forums, there was a strong dislike towards the direction of this game was taking.
Yeah, I mean, I made it pretty clear, I think, after the sort of initial reviews and beta came out. I would not be picking up the game, at least certainly not day one, which is really where I thought I'd been when the release trailer or the announced trailer came out. I was pretty excited for it. Loved Wildlands, was kind of thinking it was going to be really good, and then the fact they took away the NPC support characters, so it was a one-man job. So then it meant if you were going to be thinking on taking any of the bigger raids, like that Division Destiny word, you would be requiring to play with other people or to grind like mad, and it just was turning into a game that Wildlands never was, and I don't think Breakpoint needed to go that way, and I'm surprised it has, considering with how lackluster they've said the sort of leveling up and equipment sort of how that works is not as good as it is in Division and in Destiny and other games like that. So fortunately, Matt, they are looking to change this, aren't they?
Yeah, I have to give my respect to the CEO because he just came flat out to the during the earnings call and say, hey, it failed and these are the reasons why. One of it is that the direction it took was strongly rejected by a significant portion of the community, which is harkening back to what you were saying about the loot, about like the upgrading loot. Some people might have liked it, but for the majority of the community, they want Ghost Recon to be Ghost Recon, which is without the loot involved. You're tactically going in and taking out enemies and taking out these positions and the forts and all that. But instead, they made it like a Division light, and I'm kind of in that same boat. I like the Division. It's a completely different game, though. When I go to play Ghost Recon, I don't want to play a lesser version of the Division. I want to play a better version of Wildlands and not a worse version of the Division 2. And he brought that up. He said that also that he believes that the length of time between Wildlands and Breakpoint need to be even longer because they were still adding on to Wildlands and still had an active community within it, which is true. I was still, every time they updated Wildlands, I would hop back on for a little bit and play. He said there just wasn't enough distinguishing factors to Breakpoint, and that for the next Ghost Recon, they really want to try to set it apart. And so I have to give him respect for coming out and just saying, hey, we just didn't do a good enough job, and that's on us, and we're going to be trying to make it better. Now, one of the things that Ubisoft has come up saying one of the things that they could be doing better is trying to implement crossplay into older PvP games. So that's great news for everybody.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think there's some really interesting takes here for Ubisoft. I mean, we're both, I don't want to say we're Ubisoft fans, but we both play Siege, and we both see how that has grown and become that sort of huge community that Siege has. The Pro Leagues coming up in Japan soon. All of that has just developed from what was a very poorly reviewed game after what was a very different looking E3 demo, with the weird conversations of people talking and having nothing to do with the game. Anyway, they one thing that they've pointed out is they want a bigger gap, as you say, between games. As a huge Siege fan, and as we see Blizzard, and we'll talk about it more later, bringing out an Overwatch 2, I've always been nervous that they would bring out a Rainbow Six Siege 2, particularly the time, effort, and money that I've put into Siege. You don't ever really want that to just be taken away from you. And if anybody was going to do it, Ubisoft would do it. And actually, I'm really glad to see they haven't done that. And if anything, they've actually pushed back. So also in the news with Ubisoft, they've pushed back Watch Dogs Legion, Gods and Monsters, and Rainbow Six Quarantine, potentially to next-gen games, or at least cross-generational games at the minimum. And that's pretty big, because it really doesn't leave a lot of stuff that they're going to be releasing next year at the earliest, if not all those games come out. So that's a bit interesting that they're making such a dramatic change. Hopefully they don't look to, eke out more money from people through microtransactions. That was commented on the earnings call, that maybe there's a response to a fatigue in monetization and microtransactions. And Ubisoft has apparently asserted that it is not interested in pay-to-win microtransactions, just pay-to-earn more XP quicker transactions, as they like to do. I am not worried about this. Ubisoft fixes their games down the line. The Division, Siege, For Honor, those games have all become humongous communities and far better games. So I'm happy that Ubisoft will do their thing with this, and they'll stick to their word.
Yeah, and like I said, I give them respect, because they took the lesson of Breakpoint not being farther apart, and they applied it to all those other games, the Watch Dogs, Gods and Monsters, and Rainbow Six Quarantine. And probably, they did it with the Assassin's Creed, where it was coming out yearly, and they realized that the sales and the quality went down during Unity, and then they decided to stretch it out. So it takes them to fall down to realize that they could be doing better, and I give them respect for pushing, because it's not going to look good for their shareholders seeing all their huge heavy hitters like Watch Dogs and Rainbow Six Quarantine getting pushed back. But if it means a better quality product, then it's better for us gamers in the long term. So it's not good for them, but I do appreciate the honesty and the respect and them learning from their mistakes.
Well, from one sort of shooter franchise that's struggling to another shooter franchise that is certainly 100%, or should I say 600 million% not struggling. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that indie darling Matt was talking about earlier, sales topped $600 million in 3 days. Matt, I just want to throw out some of the things that they've been thrown out about the game, some facts. So it's the top-selling premium game, i.e. full-price game, of 2019. It's the best digital opening in Activision's history. Best-selling Call of Duty launch on PC ever. It's the most digitally pre-ordered game on PS4 ever. That's because of survival. It sold the most digital copies in 3 days on PS4 ever. That's because of survival. It has more total hours played and total players than any Call of Duty in 6 years. And then just to rub it in, they wanted to point out that $600 million in the opening weekend was more than double the opening of the Joker movie. So I think, Matt, you've got a little bit of time to shine here. Sell Modern Warfare to the other 3 people in the world that haven't bought Modern Warfare, apparently.
You being one of them, right?
Exactly, yeah. Sell it to me.
Well, we'll talk about the sales. It still hasn't topped Modern Warfare 3 sales, and I think in Black Ops 2 sales, and I think those are going to be the peak sales of the Call of Duty franchise ever. That's when it was the most popular during the 360 PS3 era. But I think it's very important that we cover this because it's a return to form. Call of Duty by no means was struggling the last few games because it still sells millions of copies. But it did see a huge decline. And this happens to be the best Call of Duty of this generation, the best-selling Call of Duty of this generation. So it's huge for Activision. The best digital sales is a nice bullet point for them to hit, but it's to be expected with our last stories about how GameStop is slowly becoming less relevant and digital sales are growing. I think every year the Call of Duty franchise will have the best digital sales for them. The PC is huge because Call of Duty has never been a PC-focused game. It's always been focused on consoles, and that's just the fact of the matter. So PC's community has never been huge, and because the PC's community has never been huge, people usually don't stick around and buy the game. But with the cross-play, the PC community will always have a thriving community to go back to playing, so that was huge. The Joker tidbit was a little awkward. I think it's just the gaming entertainment Activision just trying to say, hey, we're a real entertainment as well. Weird. But anyways, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, if you've ever had reservations on buying it because of series fatigue, or you just haven't wanted, because everyone has at least bought, I want to go out and assume everyone's at least bought one Call of Duty. I believe this one is the best one. They really took their time. They gave them extra time. They built a whole new engine. It's a return to form. It's not any of this Black Ops. I'll go into it more in detail later in this episode, but I think it's well deserved of having 600 million sales for the first 3 days.
Fair enough. I think you've pretty much said everything that needs to be said there. And they clearly don't need any more advertising. Fair play to Call of Duty, to Treyarch, I think it was the developers of this one.
Infinity Ward. Well, that's what you get for having too many. To another sort of section of the Activision Blizzard world, BlizzCon has been happening and is still happening, actually. And we've had some announcements at BlizzCon, so it's worth going through that. As I mentioned earlier, Overwatch 2, or Team Fortress 2 clone, is in development. It's a full-on sequel. It's going to have a PvE story mode, which is interesting, which allows you to level up your heroes, and then obviously new maps and heroes are coming to Overwatch 1 as well, which is pretty big that they're going to still support Overwatch 1 as well as Overwatch 2. Your stats, your levels all carry on from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 if you choose to do that. More skins, more cosmetics, and they'll carry over as well. And the first new hero is a Canadian named Sojourn. So don't know anything about their abilities yet. If you're an Overwatch fan and you're excited about this, let us know. The only issue is
they have no idea when it's going to be released. So it's coming. So if you're excited about that, good for you. You just don't know when it's coming. So
so tame your excitement.
So tame your excitement. Have you ever played Overwatch, Matt?
I did. I played the first one for a little bit. My brothers got into it, but I never got into it, and I ended up getting it gifted to me on PC, and I played it with one of my friends. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's not a game that I got heavily invested to. It's just not my cup of tea, even though people kind of compare it to Siege because they all have different abilities. I just like the more tactical gameplay of Siege. It never stuck with me. It's not a game that I absolutely love, but I can see why people love it. I also am confused on if just the story and the PvE co-op story missions are really enough to warrant a sequel to Overwatch, but that's coming from someone who isn't overly excited about the Overwatch game in general. So
fair enough. I think if you're not interested in Overwatch or Overwatch 2, definitely check out Team Fortress 2. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Team Fortress 2 even to this day. So another game that, well, of course they had to announce it because they would have been idiots if they hadn't announced it, and they did exactly what we thought they'd do. Diablo 4 was announced with gameplay, which I thought was interesting, though they did repeat the gameplay over and over and over again. And it's a true sequel to Diablo 2, so that Diablo 3, which had a few issues and wasn't necessarily everybody's favourite Diablo, and the multiplayer servers didn't work, etc., etc. This seems to be going back to, form for what Diablo 1 and 2 were, a cult, very dark, very bloody, very gory sort of gameplay and appearance. I mean, they would have been stupid, even though they haven't given us a date, they would have been stupid not to have announced this game this year because of all the just hatred that they got last year.
Do you not have phones?
Yeah, do you not have phones? Yeah, the meme that sort of went around. I sound so cool when I say that.
You're hip with the times.
Yes, yeah. For once. Speaking of that, the Diablo Immortal, which is the mobile phone game that everybody got so angry about, is actually still in development. They showed a bit more of it, and it does look pretty good. So keep your eye out for that if you want something to sink hours into. World of Warcraft's next expansion is called Shadowlands, which the trailer looked pretty cool. I'm not a World of Warcraft fan, never have been, but I know that people are, and they're very excited about that. World of Warcraft Classic has an update coming November 12th, and Hearthstone's getting an expansion. Yeah, I mean, Hearthstone, if you're into card games, that's cool. I'm not. And there was obviously some commotion, some Hong Kong protesters outside after a story that we covered a little while ago. But, it seems like BlizzCon has gone fairly smoothly for them this time. So, it's more games being announced is good things for gamers. So I'm happy with that. Something that's not so good for gamers, but is now better. Bethesda has, interesting. Fallout 76, if you've been under a rock recently, Bethesda brought out, I only say that not in disrespect to anybody that hasn't seen this story, but Bethesda's been hit quite badly with this, with something called Fallout at First, which was $100, I believe, and £100, paid subscription service to Fallout 76, which gave you things.
For an incomplete game. That's mind-boggling to me, man.
This is on top of what you've already paid to, play a broken, incomplete game. You'll then give them another £100 of your hard-earned money to get private servers, which it's come out they're not actually private. They've found that, players have found that other players have raided sections of the map and have built things, and they're like, we haven't built that, but this is a private server that we've rented, and it's supposed to get wiped every time the server moves on to somebody else. So what's happened here? That's another issue. It's not a private server like it is on, say, Minecraft. Once you come off that server, everything you did on that server is zoinked. It's gone. Unlike Minecraft, where you pay to maintain a server over a number of years, as some have, you get my favourite one, and I shouldn't say favourite because people have put money into it, and you can say whatever you will about them, is the infinite scrap box, where you can just keep storing, say, things that you find around the world. If you've watched me on Outer Worlds, I take all on everything. I take everything. I am a hoarder. You can then
you'll go through it later.
Yeah, I'll go through it later. I store it. You can store it in this box. Fantastic. You can walk away from the box, walk back to the box, and it appears there's actually a glitch in the game, and it deletes everything that you put inside that scrap box. So well done, Bethesda. You did it again. But the main reason for this story is Australia is now allowing and is enforcing that Fallout 76 refunds customers after they were misled. It sounds a bit similar to the whole bag incident. Once again, they've just messed up here, haven't they, Matt?
Yeah, and now let's clarify. It's not like a free fall that if you've been playing it for hours and hours, and if you only just got it yesterday, you can get a refund. It's specifically for people who have already requested a refund between the dates of November 24th, 2018 and June 1st of 2019. So that's only people that are going to be qualified for the refund. Though it is understandable that some people bought it at launch and it was absolutely broken, void of content, and people were not happy with it, and Bethesda wouldn't refund, or ZeniMax wouldn't refund anyone's money. So it's understandable that people were a little upset by this, and it took a little of government intervention to get it fixed. It's good that it's finally happening, but I mean, it's good for consumers, but everything around Fallout 76 just stinks. The subscription, it's just, this game has not been good, and I'm still sitting here, and I've talked to a few people who still play it. I'm just baffled by why they are still loyal to a game that has continually disrespected them and taken their money and have lied, and it's just, it doesn't install a good amount of faith into any of Bethesda's future games for me. I am now very suspicious, and I'm of the next Elder Scrolls game, which is rumored to be coming out, which they did a little teaser for. That's no longer going to be a first day purchase for me. I am now going to sit back, wait for reviews, and wait for word of mouth to confirm it is a good game. And it doesn't help that Outer Worlds has come out and literally has shown the world how you do a proper Fallout, non-Fallout game that is void of a lot of bugs and still has a plethora of content to go through. It really showcases what Bethesda could be doing, but they aren't stepping up to the plate. I'm really hoping that this gut checks them and they get back on track.
I'll come back to what you said in a minute when we come back to Outer Worlds, because I've got an interesting take on that. But anyway, enough of Bethesda and Fallout 76. Just makes the blood boil. Moving on to our final news story that we're going to cover, because there has been an awful lot. It's fairly recent, as in yesterday. Death Stranding's review embargo is up. That's
What a
it.
mixed bag this is.
Yeah, this is a real mixed bag. So tried to have a look at as many of the reviews as I could. Um, Obviously, one of the standout ones is IGN. Um,
Yeah.
IGN's review score came out at 6.8 out of 10. Um, Others went from 10 out of 10, down to 6.87 out of 10. We are still waiting for review scores from Eurogamer, Kotaku, and Polygon, three of the other big reviewers, as well as IGN and Game Informer. Interestingly, Game Informer and IGN, the two really sort of big sized reviewers that have chucked out a score, have been the lowest. GameSpot came out at 9 out of 10. That was a review that I managed to have a look through. I've got to be honest, it's not a game, having seen what I have in the reviews, it's not a game I'm rushing to go and buy a PlayStation 4 for. I don't know. Are you a bit nervous if you're a pre-ordered customer right now, Matt? I would be, if I'm honest.
I would. I mean, personally, I would too. Now, it's it's a mixed bag because I have faith in Kojima to produce good games, but from what I've seen so far, it doesn't seem to be a game that I would be interested in playing. And I say playing because the world itself and the scenario and the setting that's going on is super interesting. It's something that I actually find appealing. But the gameplay, specifically, from the IGN standpoint, I watched the IGN and I've watched a little bit of the gameplay. It just doesn't seem exciting or fun to play. And I think that's one of the core features that you want your game to be, is fun to play. And that seems to be what's dividing the high scores from the bottom scores, is that everyone seems to be on the same page that the world and the story is interesting and that it could grow, but it's the gameplay that seems to be people loving it or hating it. And from my standpoint, if I had it pre-ordered, I would either cancel it and wait, or be very, very careful and worried about my pre-order, because it just does not seem like a game I'm interested in.
I'm pretty much in the same position. I mean, before we came on air, we were talking about Death Stranding a little bit, and decided to drop it into the show. And one thing I'd said to you is, I think from what we've seen with how much is in the world and people, throwing the word out, boring, empty. I mentioned to you Outer Worlds, which is an open-ish world game. It's smaller, a lot smaller, but is absolutely jam-packed with things to do, people to talk to, missions, encounters. And I think Kojima may potentially be taking liberties here, that how can you bring out a game, particularly, and hope it gets lauded over by everybody thinking it's great, if it's empty? It could be a huge open world. There's been plenty of games that have been huge open worlds, but if there's not enough to do in it, if it's not exciting enough, what's the point? I mean,
Exactly.
It's a concern, that, but we'll watch this space. We'll have to see. If it turns out to be a flop, or if it gets any better, it would be really great. Yeah.
I do think it'll sell well, though. I think the Kojima name on it, and people have remained optimistic. I do think it will sell well, but I don't know if it will continue to review and play well.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, as I say, there's three sort of large reviewers still to put their review out. We'll certainly make note of that, and maybe share it with you guys. If you're listening, you've pre-ordered Death Stranding, or maybe you're a PS4 sort of hardcore fan, and you're thinking, do I want this game now? No, I'm still going to give Hideo Kojima my $60 dollars or pounds. Um, if you're looking at that, let us know in the comments in Facebook, or tweet us on Twitter. Let us know what you're thinking right now, because I must admit, if I'd pre-ordered, I would be nervous. I've got to be honest, I would be nervous.
Yeah, me too.
So, perfect. Okay, well, that's the end of the news. So, that point that we've sort of been saying we'll come to. Game of the week, which I don't think has ever actually been one game or a game. We've decided to put two games that we've both been sinking a lot of time into. Matt, why don't you tell us why we should be playing Cooking Mama?
I was about to say, I don't know if mine's going to be a surprise or not.
Yeah, no, tell us about Call of Duty. Why should we be buying that this week?
Well, I think to start off, they implemented the campaign again from Black Ops 4, which they took out for the Battle Royale mode. And they put a campaign in here, and from my personal standpoint, I think it is the best Call of Duty campaign to date from all the other Call of Duties that have ever been released. Though, it comes with a caveat. It comes as the shortest campaign that I've ever played as well. On the regular difficulty, I was able to beat it in, I would say the upper limit would be 5 hours, and that is extremely short. Though, again, I go back and I think about the campaign as a whole, and it is one of the most thought-provoking and enjoyable campaigns I've ever played. The story beats that it follows, the first two missions, the second mission in particular, Piccadilly, was absolutely jaw-dropping. It really reinforced the grounded and morally gray aspect that they were going for. There's a lot of terrible things that happen in this game, but you question yourself, is it necessary? Do you kill one person to save a few others? It's just an overall great experience that makes you question how far is right during wartime. It was really, man, I just can't give it enough praise. And along with the story, the gameplay itself was very refreshing. It was refined. It's smoothed out from all the other Call of Duties, but the gameplay from individual missions are mixed up so well that there's something new that you're doing. And if it's not particularly new, for instance, there's a sniper mission that goes back to, it's kind of a refreshed version of the longer sniper mission in Modern Warfare 1, where you are actually in Chernobyl, well, close to Chernobyl, and you have to use the wind direction and all that. They took that and they amplified it. They made it better and bigger, and it's just every gameplay aspect. It's not completely overdone like the previous ones, but there's still exciting moments, and it all leads to a satisfying conclusion. It's in a campaign that I think actually, with a short amount of time, does warrant everybody's $60, and that's just the campaign alone. I haven't touched Spec Ops, like I've mentioned before. Multiplayer is the best that it's ever been, in my personal opinion. They did away with the 3-lane maps, and they have more interesting maps here. Now, that's not saying that all maps are absolutely perfect. There are some maps that are problemsome, but for the most part, it's people who are complaining about it are just used to enemies coming from forward and behind them. And now you have to have situational awareness where they're going to be coming from you from multiple different angles. And I find that more realistic and more tension-filled, and it's just more exciting to me. The gunsmith customization is one of the best aspects to ever be brought into the Call of Duty franchise. It really has the balance and the customability that everyone loves about it. And just overall the presentation. They built a whole new engine, which is absolutely gorgeous and has details that I'm still figuring out today. The sound design is top notch. It's just an overall great package. If you're a Call of Duty fan, a military fan, or just an FPS fan in general, it's a game that I believe is worth your time.
Fair enough. Well, I think listeners, Matt quite likes Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Just a little.
just a little bit. No, fair enough. I've been playing a slightly different game in Outer Worlds. I've been looking forward to this game since the reveal. It looked quirky, it looked different, it looked comedic. Um, it it ticks a lot of boxes. Now I'm going to tell you all the things that are great about this game. The skills, the perks are fantastic. Very evenly balanced. It doesn't feel like you get things too often, too little. The XP gain is very generous at the start and then starts to become more of a grind, which I quite like. The guns are, as they are, pretty good. The combat is great. With a tactical time dilation, you're able to effectively use Vax, but without having to use it and get in trouble with Bethesda. So it's a new way, and I've started to find myself using it more and more as it slows down time and allows you to take that, opportunity to make a shot count on an enemy or to review the battlefield, etc. The people are perfect. They really are. I mean, sometimes if you disliked Mass Effect Andromeda's faces, you won't like Outer Worlds either. Sometimes there's no emotion and they're pretending they're elated. Reminded me a lot of Oblivion, actually. The story, I'm 18 hours into this game, and I'm loving it. I love the fact that it's apparently only 30 hours long. Some people are going to go, what? Actually, it's great to go into a game knowing that you aren't going to have to sink 80 hours into it and potentially be disappointed or it feel like a grind. 30 hours is perfect, I think, for this type of game. So I really like the game, and I'm going to continue to play it to completion.
Is it comparable to New Vegas?
So this is where, as I said to you earlier with regards to Fallout 76, I was going to pick you back up on what you'd said. This is not what Bethesda should have done. So this game has moved on from Fallout New Vegas by maybe a year or two. If I'm being brutally honest, if you are a fan of the Fallout games, and to an extent the original Fallout games, I would say you will enjoy this game. If you are looking for something new and different to those games, it is not. And it really isn't by much at all. The graphics are okay. The frame rate drops quite regularly. The textures can sometimes take a minute or two to load up. It does struggle sometimes to look like a 2019 game. Other times it astounds you, particularly when you're out in the sort of open world and there's nothing around you. It actually is a very pretty game, and the detail on the guns and the uniforms is pretty good. Other times it's very concerning. There are a lot of missions where it's go from this place to another, to that place, back again, and then to there, which is okay a few times, but you have to try and break that up occasionally because that does get quite tedious. Menus, the loading screens, are long. I'd one clocked out at about a minute and a half. That was leaving a city to go out into the sort of open world of the planet. Bearing in mind the planets aren't huge. There's not a huge area for you to explore. So it sounds like I'm beating on this game. I'm really not. If you know what you're going in for with this game, you will love it. 100% you will. But I wouldn't come to this game expecting something new, expecting something different, expecting to see something you've never seen before. You aren't getting that with this game. So yeah, I look, I'm very conscious. I feel like I might have beaten on this game a bit, and to the developer I apologise because I have enjoyed the game, but Look, I don't want to self promote myself, but I'm going to be streaming this game again. Have a look, just see what it's like. Watch some gameplay of it. Don't watch reviews of this game. Watch gameplay of it, because you'll realise it goes very fast, very slow paced, very quickly. And I think I want to inform you of that before you play it. If you've got an Xbox and you've got Xbox Game Pass, don't listen to a word I've just said. It's free. Try it. Who cares? You've got it on Game Pass, so you might as well take advantage of it. I would have paid full price for this game quite happily. I think very soon after day one, I would have paid full price for this game. So that probably tells you something. So yeah, definitely try it if you know what you're getting yourself in for. Otherwise, don't expect something brand new. And that's what I meant by Bethesda shouldn't have done Outer Worlds. They should have done Outer Worlds and then some.
Then some.
Because they're the bigger developer. Well, publisher.
So what you're saying is that it's not new. It's not new, but do you think it's done better than prior Bethesda games?
Now, trying not to think of Fallout New Vegas through rose-tinted glasses, which one do I prefer? I prefer the world and the story of Outer Worlds. That's controversial because the whole point of Fallout was that it was in a post-apocalyptic world. But the setting and the story is a whole lot better in Outer Worlds. So they've got that bit right. They've got that bit better. That bit's a step up. But yeah, I think how the characters look and the interactions, the world, how the graphics could have been better. So yeah, I think the game could be better, and I'm hoping they'll look to improve on that. Maybe DLC. I'd quite happily look to drop some money on that. So yeah, but let me know if you've been playing Outer Worlds in the comments. Disagree with me, at me. Quite happy to talk to you about it, because it will be interesting to get your point of views too. So sorry, went on a bit then. My bad. Right, well, we've come to that time of the show where one week I cry and the other week Matt laughs. Oh wait, no, that happens in the same week.
Yeah.
So, because Matt, as we've seen or listened and heard a lot this episode, you're a huge Call of Duty fan.
Slightly.
This week's episode questions are all based upon Call of Duty.
Oh man, I didn't see that one coming.
Oh no, I know, keeping you on your toes. If you don't get on well with these, I'm sure there's some easier questions I can find. So, question number 1.
All right.
Not multiple choice. Choice. For this first
Making
question.
It harder.
For this first question. When was the first Call of Duty released?
Like first ever?
Oh yeah. Not first modern Call of Duty that makes money. First Call of Duty.
All right.
Just give me the year. Just give me the year. I'm not fussed about the date. I'll give you the date, but I only need the year.
Okay. I know Call of Duty 2 for the 360 came out in 2005. So, I have to assume the first one prior to that, it was either 2 or 3 years ago, before 2005. So I'm looking at 2002 or 2003. And that was made by Infinity Ward as well. I'll have to go. Oh, man, it's a toss-up. 2002 or 2003. I'll go with 2003. Out of a guess.
I just get them wrong once in a while. You're absolutely
No
correct.
way.
29th of October 2003. So very, very well done on that one. That would have been on PlayStation 2, wouldn't it? I think that.
I think. Well, I don't know. Maybe PlayStation 2. I remember it first coming out for the PC.
No, that would have been PlayStation 2, and yeah, the second one came out. Yeah, I think the first three were on PlayStation 2, and the first Modern Warfare came out on 360. That was the first Call of Duty on 360. Anyway, well done on that. 29th of October 2003.
Got him.
So you touched on this earlier, but the question here, listen very carefully to. Okay. What's the highest selling per unit Call of Duty? Is it A, Call of Duty Black Ops? Is it B, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare? Or is it C, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3?
What was the first option? Black Ops?
Black Ops.
Then, okay, go over the options again.
So, highest selling units. A,
okay.
Call of Duty Black Ops. B, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Or C, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
Okay. Well, it's not Modern War. It's not Call of Duty 4 Warfare. Though it is one of my favorites. And it sold awesome. It was the start of the Call of Duty hype. So it's definitely not Modern Warfare. Now, it is surprising that you didn't put Black Ops 2 in there, because that might have been one of my guesses. So if it's not Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1 sold better than Black Ops 2. So, but I do remember Modern Warfare 3 being like the peak of it. Was it the Modern Warfare 3 the peak of it? Oh, Black Ops 2 sold worse than Black Ops 1. It had to go back up. I'm going to go with Modern Warfare 3.
So why can't you... seriously. So yeah, it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. And that came out, units-wise, worldwide, 30.71 million. So that really was the pinnacle of the 360. Everybody was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Everybody. So, well done. 30.71 million. So, yeah, annoying. This next one should be easy. I choose easy ones. I should choose harder ones. The last one's hard. What's the name of the general who betrays you in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2?
Oh, no.
Is it A, Shepard? Is it B, Price? Is it C, Stevens?
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
It's Shepard. General Shepard. Once you said it, it clicked.
Incorrect. That's the Mass Effect. No, you're right. Again. Oh.
I completely forgot until you said Shepard, and I was like, oh, no, definitely that's it.
Unlike Outer Worlds, my lie skill is not very high. So, I know I've got you with this one. This was a bit naughty, but I just needed payback.
Okay.
So, bear with me. In Black Ops 2, in Nuketown 2025, there is an Easter egg where if you shoot all the mannequins off, it allows you to play 4 classic retro Activision games on the screen in the middle of the square, or the cul-de-sac, sorry. Can you name any of those games? So, as a cool fact as well, while a player was playing those 4 retro games on that screen, he could not be killed. Can you name any of those 4 retro Activision games?
Man, I remember... I never did any of them, but I remember seeing some of them. One of them is Pitfall 2.
Okay.
Crap, man. I think you finally got me. Pitfall 2.
Mm.
Oh, man. No. No, I think you finally got me. One of them's definitely Pitfall 2. I have no idea what the other three are, though. No, I'm going to have to pass. Dang it, man. Nothing even comes to mind. I know one's Pitfall 2. I just don't know. I don't know any of the other three.
Okay, so you're gonna...
Yeah, I'm waving the white flag on this one.
Okay, fair enough. So I have just confirmed that you got one correct. Pitfall 2, Lost Caverns, was the first game that you could play. Then was Hero, or H.E.R.O.
What?
Kaboom, and River Raid. So, yeah, that was a bit of a tricky one.
I would have never got the other three. I didn't even know those were games.
I did have to check on a couple of websites because a lot were just calling it Pitfall. They weren't calling it Pitfall 2. So interestingly, when you said Pitfall 2, I thought, oh, do I say no, it's Pitfall? Because I've seen it on a number of things. But no, I've...
Man, you're ready to go that petty, huh?
Yeah, so, well, you got that one wrong because you didn't name them. You named one, so you get 0.1 of a point. So, well done you. I still despise everything about your trivia mind. And next week I will certainly make up for it. But well done. No, seriously, that's your Call of Duty in and out. So well done for that. Matt, we've come to the end of the show. It's been a big one. There's been a lot happening, and I think we've certainly walking away with full knowledge of your opinion on Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah, it's all right.
If somebody wants to find out more information from you regarding Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where can they find you or maybe me to just laugh at?
They could find us on Facebook. We try to stay fairly active on there and take in people's questions, stories. We do have a Twitter going. Both of us stream. You will never stream Call of Duty, so if you want to watch someone play Call of Duty, you can watch me stream. But then we have YouTube. We have this posted on YouTube where you can leave comments on there. And then we have podcasts. Gareth has set up podcast galore for all of your podcast needs listening to. But mainly talk to us on Facebook. If you have any games that you want us to play specifically, send a suggestion, send questions, any news stories. That's about it. Yeah, Facebook and all the other avenues.
Absolutely. Just a little shout out to something I shared in the Facebook group. A little app called Flick Chat. Through a little bit of podcast networking, came across the guys that created this app. It's called Flick Chat. Effectively, you set up your podcast through it. So you just set up as another place you can listen to us talk about games. Then, very similar to Discord, it allows you to chat, particularly on episodes, or say if you want to create groups. It's very similar to Discord, but it's all around a certain podcast. Happy to share that link again with you guys. I'm on there daily, checking to see if anybody says hello. We have had one person who I don't know and doesn't seem to follow us on anything else, so that's fine. So I said hello to them. So check us out on there as well. YouTube is going to start coming, hopefully. I just need to, as I say, put a bit of time into the moving it over onto YouTube, which isn't as quick of a process as I like. But watch this space. Maybe comment on Facebook to give me a kick to to be doing that a bit more. So yeah, guys, sorry about the delay with this episode coming out, but thank you for sticking around with us. Maybe give us a share, get the news out there about Gaming News Weekly. But for the 12th time, this has been your Gaming News Weekly.
Thanks for listening, guys.